So, PS4 gamers across the globe, the legendary, treasure-hunting, wisecracking serial killer that is Nathan Drake, well, he's back for another insane adventure, gracing those Sony consoles like a PlayStation deity. Naughty Dog's track record is, well, let's just say bloody brilliant. And so there's a lot of pressure on them again here to release something that meets up to those high expectations. The bar is constantly being raised by the devs, and from a game that ended the last generation off with a huge bang in the form of The Last of Us, it's finally time to see their latest gem hit our screens, fully utilising that power of the PlayStation 4 console. So is Naughty Dog's latest title gonna make PC elitists and Xbox only gamers jealous, or has their streak of awesomeness finally met its end? Is my review on a game called Uncharted 4. So without going into too much detail, our story begins 3 whole years after the events of Uncharted 3. And Nathan Drake has decided to stop swinging around over mile-deep chasms and battling against armies and supernatural phenomenon, leaving his Indie Jones lifestyle behind him in the past. And he's now adopted a more ordinary, bog-standard life, settling down with Elena and getting himself a job. Everything seems to be going completely fine and relatively danger-free. But of course, that's until his brother Sam shows up and explains to Nate how he's got himself into a load of really deep shit. A drug lord wants Sam to find and recover Captain Henry Avery's long-lost treasure, in return for helping him escape a prison. And if Sam doesn't find the treasure, the drug lord's not exactly going to be very happy. And so to save his neck, Sam and Nate, with the help of good old Sully, go off in search for that pirate treasure. But just like pretty much every other adventure that Nathan's been on in the past, they're not the only ones going for the treasure. And so the race is on. And this time, instead of hunting down the treasure for self-gain, Nate's got different motives seeking out the pirate booty to save his bro, and so the pressure to find it is much more of a personal matter this time around. Just like in the past Uncharted games, you'll be jet-setting all over the world, climbing along rocky ruins in Scotland, to sailing around crystal blue shores near Madagascar. And this time, the environments that you'll be trekking around are much bigger, giving a much grander scale on the locations, allowing you to explore more, finding secrets and hidden areas along the way. Although the game's story still follows a fairly linear path, there's a bit more to it this time around, as you can now make more choices as to where you want to go, and choose how you want to tackle the situation. Some areas involving enemies can be taken on the quiet way, rather than dashing in there head first and blasting everyone away with shotguns and rifles. The gameplay is fairly simple, but it's fun, just like it's always been. There's a few snazzy new mechanics implemented here and there throughout the adventure, like the addition of a grappling hook to swing around like a gunslinging Tarzan, and even a spotting mechanic to help you pinpoint your enemy's whereabouts and keep track on their movements. But there's nothing really tossed in here to overcomplicate the gameplay or to drastically change it up too much from the other titles, leaving us with a very familiar game to what we've played in the past. Uncharted 4 follows in the footsteps of the previous games and has almost exactly the same kind of gameplay, but with much fancier visuals and more fluid animations. This means that you shouldn't dive into the game expecting it to be a non-stop shooting gallery with over-the-top action around every corner, as you might be a tad disappointed if you do. The Uncharted titles have always been action-adventure games at their hearts, but the foundations of the gameplay have always revolved around a nice blend of shooting, platforming and story building, keeping the firefights paced out instead of randomly chucking them in all over the place, and Uncharted 4 is no different here. The climbing sections and puzzle solving parts give us a bit of breathing room, allowing us to navigate around the amazingly lush landscapes, and revel at just how bloody gorgeous the game looks along the way. The attention to detail is ridiculous here, and sometimes it's the little things that make the biggest impact. Environments quite literally shatter around you as they get riddled with bullets, and characters sprint, climb, jump and manoeuvre around the game's landscapes in a really natural looking way, making the characters feel less like a digital mesh of polygons and textures, and more like real life human beings. In fact, playing through the game can be a bit like watching a movie at times, with all the crazily detailed environments, plus the almost seamless animations and cutscenes. And with a lot of emphasis, just as always, being put on the story and the setting, it can be quite hard to actually put your controller down, as you'll just want to complete one more chapter to find out what happens and where you'll end up next. As for Uncharted 4's multiplayer, it's not exactly revolutionary, but it's a great bonus to distract us from the main story, and add something else there for us to do. It follows a much wackier style, which contrasts quite a lot with the realistic, movie-like nature of the single-player campaign. Players can use supernatural powers inspired by the Uncharted universe, and characters can be customised to wear really funky outfits, and dance like they've just seen that Metacritic score. There's a surprising amount of depth here too, for a game that heavily features its single player as the main reason to buy the game. And it's nice to know that there are quite a few cool multiplayer mechanics here, such as upgrading your loadouts throughout matches, and unlocking loot to customise your weapon setups and appearance with tons of options in the menus outside of those matches. Multiplayer doesn't feel like it's just been tacked on, though it's likely going to be overshadowed by the sheer epicness of the campaign, as the Uncharted games have always mainly focused on providing an unforgettable single player experience and putting that first. Though it's totally worth jumping online to check out, as you should be able to have a bit of fun there, without having to take anything too seriously. So Uncharted 4 will have you saying things out loud like, oh look, friendly AI in this game is actually doing something useful. Yep, grenades are still essentially red light bulbs. And that guy should have definitely gone to Specsavers. But is the game worth buying? Well, I think you probably already know my answer to that question. If I was to say the game was good, I'd be lying, because it's more than just good. It's friggin' spectacular. Yes, Uncharted 4 is worth buying, and if you have a PlayStation 4 and enjoy third-person action adventure, then not only this game is almost like committing a crime. Uncharted 4 is stunning to look at, and feels like a similar kind of globe-trotting journey that we've seen in the past games, full of heart and character. Naughty Dog has once again knocked the ball out of the park, and provided us gamers with another awesome title. It's not just one of the best games on the PS4, but it's up there with one of the best games I've ever played. So you'll be battling against another army of treasure hunting henchmen, swinging across insanely high drops, and hoping your grappling hook doesn't snap in the process. Uncharted 4 is dropping jaws all over the planet, and impressing more people than this guy's moustache. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the review. Hit that thumbs up button if you did, and make sure you subscribe to stay updated with loads of new content. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in that next one.